John, lots of interesting points were raised during our discussion on restructuring and the challenges for getting deals done in the Spanish markets. What did you find as the most interesting points raised, and I would say, the most challenging for investors from a creditor perspective and new money provider?
I think what's clear is that there is a lot of interest. There's a lot of international interest in investing in Spain, and I think that's probably, it's at a greater level now than it has been in the last number of years. So I think that's probably a positive. I think some of the recent legislative changes have created some uncertainty, and I think they need, particularly for investors, they need to be able to price uncertainty, and I think at the moment they're not in a position to price it. So I think that probably needs to play out. In terms of, I think, creditors, I think what is clear is that there is the gap between the local banks and the international banks, I think, has narrowed significantly. I think that there's the culture of restructuring, which possibly wasn't embedded in the local banks, is much clearer now, and they're much more aware of what is needed if they want to try to lead a successful restructuring, and at least to be able to have a conversation with international banks on generally accepted terms. For example, the treatment of syndicated debt, the treatment of bilateral debt, where you are in the debt structure, that if a bilateral lender has lent to one level nearer the operating assets, and if a syndicate debt is at a different level further away, that those differences have to be recognised. The IBR, the scope and quality of IBRs has improved significantly, and looking at the fundamental problems of the business, which maybe 4 years ago was to some extent looked over. There was a amend and extend, hit and hope, as we say. I think that culture has changed. So I think that's come out of the debate today.
Yeah, and in terms of new money provision, lots of funds seems really interested in providing it, but you were suggesting also some of the local banks might do so, but I guess that depends on the requirements and the quality of the assets. So what do you see as the main point for deciding where to invest or not?
I think local banks often will put new money in if they have if they feel there's no other alternative, and they are sufficiently exposed whereby they feel that they really need to follow their money. Some international banks will follow, but it's much harder to put new money in. So I think you then obviously the obvious solution is that funds or other new entities will put in new money. The issues to be covered there is that in Spain, and as Miguel highlighted, you need to be very clear as to where the new money ranks. Typically, you will need to get an independent expert to bless the transaction, and it should be done in the context of an overall refinancing. But I think I don't think the door is closed to that at all.
Okay, thanks very much, John.